Welcome into Doak Campbell Stadium for the final time in 2019. Florida State knocks off Alabama State 49-12. Is that correct? 49-12. It's been a while since the end of the game. It was kind of not the prettiest game. Florida State was only up 21-12 in the second half, and then they pulled away. Odell Hagen's taken the Noles bowling again. That's all he does. He's coached in 4 games, 2 of them to secure bowl trips. Yeah. And now he'll take Florida State to Gainesville next week with a 4-0 record for Odell after this convincing win over Alabama State.
Yeah, there's really not much to say about the win. Is there? It's nice. It's cool that they won. I thought after the game was what was cool. I thought maybe before the game too, if you're not a big fan of swag surfing because it's gone. Although Odell acted like he had no idea what that was.
What things are you talking about?
Swag surfing and some of the things like that.
The what?
Swag surfing?
What is swag surfing? I don't know what that is.
And who knows how that got ended, but it was ended. But I thought after the game, everybody chanting his name. Some players even chanted "Hire Odell." The band was chanting Odell to come help him sing the fight song. All it was just, again, it felt a lot like 2 years ago, although I think the difference is we knew 2 years ago it was a Band-Aid. It was a stopgap. Hey, everybody celebrate Odell Hagen while we go find our head coach. Now, I mean, there are some people, legitimate people, that want him to be the head coach. This was an audition. I guess you say he passed. It's hard to say because it's Alabama State. But, hey, man, he's 4-0. They don't lose with him.
Yeah, I think that is the overall story. I think some of the fan base is excited because of the fact that, not because of today's game, but he did beat Boston College last week. But the idea that he's changed some things, as you said. I mean, you kind of joked about it, but he did. They stopped swag surfing before kickoffs. We talked to some of the players today after the game, and they said he's changed some things at practice and the things they do and what they emphasize, and he takes more of a kind of an old school approach. And I think after the last year and a half under Willie Taggart, I think a lot of people are kind of eager for that kind of approach. But then there's other people who are kind of uneasy about all the love for Odell right now because they don't want to feel like it's an endorsement for him to be the next head coach. I think some people like what he's done on an interim basis, but not necessarily wanting to see him as the long-term solution. So I think fan base, it was just kind of it's an odd mood right now, I think, for the fan base.
Yeah, but no matter whether you think he should be the head coach or not, you are a fan of Odell Hagen. Anybody watching this, everybody that was in the stadium today, they're a fan of Odell Hagen, the person, and Odell Hagen's the coach. Whether he's the head coach, I get that you might have reservations about that. But overall, people just love what this guy does for this program and what he means to the program, right?
Yeah, and as far as the play on the field, it was a weird game. Florida State was missing about, a quarter of the team. Cam Akers sat out the game, several offensive linemen, some defensive players. I mean, it was kind of a mash unit. Some of those guys, you got to assume they're getting healthy. They could have played if they were playing a Florida today, but they're kind of getting an extra week of rest. They've got the bye week coming up going into the Florida game. But overall, there were some good individual performances. Hampton Nasruddin with an 80-yard interception return, which
that was a doozy.
I think it's still going on.
Yeah, that took a long time. It reminded me of the Terrence Smith one against Florida from way back when, 5 years ago. But that was just because Terrence Smith was slow, like he was injured, he had a bad knee or something. Hampton was zigging and zagging and breaking tackles. It was a fun play.
Also got another Jordan Travis run. Yeah. It's interesting. Alex Hornibrook missed the Boston College game with an injury, I guess a shoulder injury. They said they thought he would be available today. He threw some on the sideline but did not get in. When James Blackmon came out, they went to design packages for Jordan Travis, especially near the goal line. But then later in the game, he seems like he's the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, he certainly was today, and they let him throw the ball. They won. I think they won. I mean, they were up, 30 points in the fourth quarter, and they were having him throw the ball. Now, he wasn't throwing a lot of deep passes, but it was part of the deal was to have him out there actually completing passes. So, yeah, that was good to see. Again, I think if you ask me if the quarterback for next year is currently on the roster, I'd say it's 50-50 at best. I don't know if it's going to be one of those 2 guys, but I do think Jordan Travis has a future on this team, one way or the other. I just don't think you can dismiss what he does with his legs.
Yeah, and for the people that were excited, and I was one of them, the way James Blackmon played at Boston College, I thought that was maybe the best we've ever seen James Blackmon. Today was not his best day. He did have 3 touchdowns, some long passes, threw for 250 yards on like 13 completions, but didn't look nearly as comfortable. Did have a couple of nice runs. He kept it a couple times and ran the ball. But I don't think this was a game where you said, okay, James Blackmon clearly has taken that next step as a quarterback.
No, and even if he'd had a great game, would you have, because of the competition. So that's hard to say. We'll know more, I guess, in 2 weeks. 2 weeks will probably be a better test for James Blackmon in this offense. But, yeah, I think the last 2 weeks, the thing that has impressed me the most about Blackmon is the legs. He had a 35-yard run where he actually pulled the ball on a zone read. And went down the sideline for 35 yards, and he had a nice scramble when he almost got sacked for another 20-yard run. I mean, That's good, man. They missed that. I mean, you look around the country, a lot of teams have dudes that can run around at quarterback and make plays with their legs. Florida State seemingly hasn't had that. I don't know when. Jameis maybe, or Ponder? I mean, it's been a long, long time.
Overall, the defensive performance, I mean, we mentioned Hampton Nasruddin. There's not a whole lot else to talk about the defense besides that.
They have no pass rush. They struggle there. They're going to struggle against Florida in that department in 2 weeks. They just, I know in the first half, that kid dropped back 27 times to pass. He was hit twice, even against blitzes. But the only touchdown they gave up was on a complete bust. We didn't even ask Odell about it, but obviously it was an enormous bust. There were 2 guys wide open.
There were like 2 or 3 guys blitzing from the same side.
Yeah, it was like they blitzed 11.
Yeah, and Akeem Dent was the only one over there to cover.
For 3 guys, yeah. So and also Akeem Dent, dude, come on, man. I'll work with you. I'll go out there and work with you. I'll throw balls to you and see if, and I'll make sure that you catch the ball because he's literally dropped. What would you say? Are 6 interceptions this season?
Maybe, and they've hit off his head. They've hit off his shoulder. I mean, it's almost like he doesn't know he's allowed to catch the ball.
Or he wants to lead the country in pass breakup.
Possibly. Otherwise, I think Florida State accomplished what they had to do. They had to get out of this game with a win, avoid any serious injuries, become bowl eligible, and I think that's the last thing I want to touch on. A lot of people, will roll their eyes about being excited about just being bowl eligible at Florida State.
Not this guy.
I mean, if you miss a bowl game, it's big to get back to a bowl game. I mean, this wasn't the season anybody expected, but it's important to get back to a bowl game.
I can't wait to do one of these hits outside the Pontiac Silverdome. Where would it be in Detroit when it's 9 degrees in December? That's going to be wonderful. But you know what? They are in a bowl. And that is, like you said, that is a big deal. That's something that should be appreciated. It needs to get to a point here soon where it's taken for granted. But right now you can't take a bowl trip for granted because you just didn't go to one. And 2 years ago, you barely snuck into one. So that's where this program is right now. It's cool to get back to a bowl.
A lot of Florida State fans were hoping that a new coach would have been named by now or at least feel really good about it. That didn't happen. It may not happen in the next coming days, but we'll have complete coverage at warchant.com as the process goes on. Gene Williams is constantly updating the thread on the Tribal Council. If you're not a subscriber, you should check it out. And we'll have continuing coverage from the game and going forward at warchant.com.